The champagne glass nearly slipped from my fingers when I saw him. Trevor stood by the buffet table, his face completely white, eyes locked on the entrance where I stood. But he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the man whose hand I held. Julian's grip tightened slightly, a silent show of support as we watched my husband's world crumble in real time. Courtney appeared beside Trevor, following his stare. Her mouth fell open. The glass she held did slip, shattering on the marble floor of the hotel ballroom. The sound cut through the dinner music and conversation. Heads turned. Whispers started. I smiled. Not a big smile. Just enough to let them both know this was intentional. This was planned. This was their reckoning. But let me back up 3 weeks to explain how I got here. 3 weeks earlier, I was folding laundry in our bedroom when Trevor's phone buzzed on the nightstand. He was in the shower, singing off-key like he always did. The sound made me smile the way it had for the past 8 years of our marriage. I glanced at the phone. The notification preview showed a message from someone named Court. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that blue shirt I like. My hand stilled on the towel I was folding. Court. I didn't know anyone named Court in Trevor's life. My heartbeat picked up speed as I reached for the phone. I knew his passcode. We had always been open about our phones. Nothing to hide, we always said. I typed in the numbers with shaking fingers. The phone opened. I went to his messages and found Court near the top of the list. I tapped it. The messages went back months. There were photos. Flirty texts. Plans to meet at hotels during lunch breaks. References to being careful, to making sure their spouses didn't find out. Their spouses. So Court was married too. I scrolled up to see the contact name. The full name read Courtney Hayes. A woman. Trevor was having an affair with a woman named Courtney Hayes. I sat down on the edge of the bed, still holding his phone. The shower turned off. I heard Trevor humming as he dried himself. I carefully placed the phone back exactly where it had been and resumed folding laundry, my movements mechanical. Hey babe, Trevor said, walking out with a towel around his waist. Water dripped from his dark hair. He smiled at me, that same smile that used to make my stomach flip. What do you want to do for dinner? I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I had built a life with. This man who apparently had been building a separate life with someone else. Whatever you want, I said. My voice sounded normal. Come. I'm not that hungry. He kissed the top of my head as he passed, leaving wet spots on my hair. I'll order pizza then. I nodded and continued folding even though I wanted to scream. Even though I wanted to throw every piece of clothing at him and demand answers. But something stopped me. Some instinct that said I needed to be smart about this. I needed to know everything before I made my move. That night, I lay awake while Trevor slept peacefully beside me. How could he sleep so well? How could he lie next to me every night while texting another woman during the day? My mind raced with questions, with images I didn't want to see, with scenarios that made my stomach turn. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I never called in sick. I was a project manager at a marketing firm, and I prided myself on my reliability. But today I needed time to think. After Trevor left for his job at the tech company downtown, I went back to our bedroom. I knew I couldn't keep checking his phone without leaving traces, so I needed another approach. I sat at my laptop and created a fake social media account. Then I searched for Courtney Hayes. There were several, but only one worked at Stellar Tech, the same company as Trevor. I clicked on her profile. She had privacy settings on most of her posts, but her profile picture was public. She was pretty with long dark hair and a bright smile. In her bio, she listed herself as married. I felt sick. I spent the day digging. I found Courtney's husband through her limited public posts. His name was Julian Hayes. He worked as a physical therapist and seemed to post mostly about hiking and nature photography. He looked kind, normal. Just like me, he probably had no idea what was happening behind his back. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I checked Trevor's location constantly. I made note of every time he said he was working late. I started paying attention to the cologne he wore, the way he checked his phone at dinner, the distant look in his eyes when I talked about my day. I also learned everything I could about Courtney and Julian. They had been married for 6 years. No kids. They lived in a condo across town. Julian seemed devoted to his wife based on his social media posts, always commenting hearts and supportive messages on her photos. Made me angry. Not at Julian. At Courtney and Trevor. They were destroying 2 marriages, hurting 2 people who loved them, and for what? Some thrill? Some excitement? I went to work and functioned normally. I smiled at colleagues. I led meetings. I came home and cooked dinner for a man who was betraying me. And every night, I gathered more evidence. I took screenshots. I noted dates and times. I found receipts for hotels in Trevor's email. I discovered that he and Courtney often extended their lunch breaks on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I learned that they met at a hotel near the office, always paying in cash, always careful. But not careful enough. The company anniversary party invitation arrived in our mail. Stellar Tech's 10th anniversary celebration. A big event at the Riverside Hotel. Spouses invited. Black tie optional. Trevor tossed it on the counter. You'll come with me to this, right? It's kind of important for my career. I picked up the invitation, reading it carefully. Of course. I wouldn't miss it. He seemed relieved. Great. Should be fun. Open bar, good food. And you can finally meet some of my colleagues. I'd like that, I said. I'd really like to meet the people you work with. Something in my tone must have sounded off because he glanced at me strangely. But then his phone buzzed and his attention shifted. I watched him read the message, watched the small smile that played on his lips. Then he excused himself to the bathroom to reply. That night, lying in bed again, I made my decision. I would go to that party. But not the way Trevor expected. I opened my laptop and drafted a message to Julian Hayes through social media. My hands shook as I typed. You don't know me, but I need to talk to you about something important. It's about our spouses. Can we meet somewhere public? I promise this isn't a joke or a scam. I have information you need to see. I stared at the message for a long time before hitting send. Then I closed the laptop and waited. 2 days later he responded. Julian's message was short and cautious. Who are you and what is this about? I understood his suspicion. A random person contacting you about your spouse would make anyone nervous. I needed to give him enough information to take me seriously without revealing everything over social media messages. My name is Nadine Parker. I'm married to Trevor Parker. He works with your wife at Stellar Tech. I believe we need to talk in person. I have evidence of something that affects both of us. Please, coffee somewhere public. You choose the place. I hit send and waited. My phone was beside me as I tried to focus on a presentation for work. Every few minutes I checked for a response. An hour passed. Then 2. I started to think he wouldn't reply, that maybe he thought I was crazy or trying to scam him somehow. Then my phone buzzed. Riverside Coffee Shop. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll be wearing a green jacket. I confirmed the meeting and spent the rest of the evening preparing. I printed out screenshots of the messages between Trevor and Courtney. I made a timeline of their affair based on the evidence I had collected. I organized everything in a folder, making sure the information was clear and undeniable. Trevor came home late that evening, claiming he had been stuck in a meeting. I nodded and served him the dinner I had kept on the stove. He ate while scrolling through his phone, barely looking at me. This had become normal. When had it become normal? How was your day? I asked. Busy. So much going on with the anniversary party planning. Everyone is stressed. I bet Courtney is helping a lot with that, I said casually, watching his reaction. He looked up briefly. Yeah, she's on the planning committee. Why? No reason. Just remembering you mentioned her before as someone on your team. He went back to his phone. Right. I had never mentioned Courtney before. He didn't even notice the slip. Or maybe he was so used to talking about her that he assumed I knew who she was. Either way, it was another small confirmation of how deeply the affair had woven into his daily life. The next day, I left work early, claiming a dentist appointment. I arrived at Riverside Coffee Shop 15 minutes before 2. I wanted to be there first to settle my nerves and prepare myself. I ordered a tea I knew I wouldn't drink and sat at a corner table. At exactly 2 o'clock, a tall man with light brown skin walked in wearing a green jacket. He had kind eyes that were currently filled with worry and confusion. He scanned the coffee shop until his gaze landed on me. I raised my hand slightly. Julian walked over and sat down across from me. Nadine? Yes. Thank you for coming. I know this is strange. That's putting it mildly. He folded his hands on the table. What's this about? I opened the folder and slid it across to him. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this. Our spouses are having an affair. His face went blank. He didn't touch the folder. What? Trevor and Courtney. They've been seeing each other for at least 6 months, probably longer. I have proof. I gestured to the folder. Julian stared at it like it might bite him. Then, slowly, he opened it. I watched his face as he read through the messages, looked at the timeline, saw the hotel receipts. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the papers. This can't be real, he said, but his voice held no conviction. I wish it wasn't. I found out by accident 3 weeks ago. I've been gathering evidence since then. He looked up at me and I saw the same pain in his eyes that I felt in my chest every day. Why are you showing me this? Why not just confront your husband? Because I'm tired of being the only one who doesn't know what's happening in my own marriage. Because you deserve to know too. And because I have a plan if you're interested. Julian set the papers down carefully. What kind of plan? I leaned forward. The company anniversary party is in 2 weeks. Trevor expects me to go with him. I'm sure Courtney expects you to go with her. But what if we went together instead? What if we walked in there hand in hand and let them see that we know? That we're not going to hide or be humiliated quietly? He was quiet for a long moment. That's pretty bold. They've been bold. Sneaking around, lying to our faces, making fools of us. I think it's time we were bold too. And then what? We just let everyone at the party know our spouses are cheating? We don't have to announce anything. Our presence together will say everything. Trust me, they'll understand immediately. And if Trevor or Courtney wants to make a scene, that's on them. But I'm done protecting his reputation while he destroys our marriage. Julian studied me for a long moment. Then he looked back down at the evidence. I need to think about this. Of course, take your time. But the party is in 2 weeks, so I'll need to know soon. He nodded and stood up, taking the folder with him. Can I keep this? Yes, I have copies. He extended his hand and I shook it. His grip was firm but trembling slightly. Thank you for telling me. Even though I wish none of this was true. Me too. I watched him leave, then sat alone with my cold tea. I didn't know if he would agree to my plan, but at least I had tried. At least I had given him the same courtesy that no one had given us. The truth. That evening, Trevor was in a good mood. He talked about his day, asked about mine, even suggested we watch a movie together. It was almost like old times, except I now knew it was all fake. He was playing the role of good husband between matinee performances with his mistress. What do you think you'll wear to the party? He asked during the movie. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll buy something new. That would be nice. It's a pretty fancy event. I want to look good for you, I said, testing him. He smiled and kissed my forehead. You always look good to me. Lies. All lies. But I smiled back and snuggled closer, playing my own role. 3 days passed before Julian contacted me again. He called this time, his voice tight with controlled emotion. I showed Courtney's sister the evidence. She confirmed that Courtney has been acting strange for months. Coming home late, being secretive with her phone. Things I noticed but explained away. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be ready. I'm in. Let's go to that party together and show them exactly what we think of their little affair. A wave of relief washed over me. Really? Really? They want to sneak around and lie? Fine. But they're going to face the consequences. I'm done being the understanding husband who trusts blindly. We spent the next week coordinating. We exchanged phone numbers and met twice more to finalize our plan. Julian was surprisingly easy to talk to. We both shared stories of our marriages, the signs we had missed, the moments that now made horrible sense in hindsight. She told me she was joining a book club on Thursday evenings, Julian said during one of our meetings. A book club. I was happy she was making time for hobbies. Trevor said he was training for a marathon. He'd go for runs on Saturday mornings. Except I never saw him increase his distances or improve his times. Because he wasn't running. We laughed bitterly at our own naivety. But it also felt good to talk to someone who understood. Who didn't judge or tell us we should have known. We were both just people who had trusted the wrong partners. The day before the party, I went shopping. I found a stunning red dress that hugged my curves and made my dark skin glow. It was bold and beautiful and nothing like the conservative clothes I usually wore to Trevor's work events. My sister Nicole came with me. She was the only person I had told about everything, and she had been my rock through the past 3 weeks. You look incredible, she said when I stepped out of the dressing room. Think it's too much? For ruining a cheater's night? It's perfect. I bought the dress along with new shoes and accessories. I also booked a hair appointment for the next morning. If I was going to make an entrance, I was going to do it right. That night, Trevor asked what I had bought. Just a little something for tomorrow, I said mysteriously. He grinned. Can't wait to see it. Neither can I replied, thinking about the look on his face when he realized I wasn't walking in alone. The morning of the party, I woke up before Trevor. I lay still, listening to him breathe, wondering if this would be the last morning we woke up in the same bed. The thought didn't hurt as much as I expected. Maybe I had already started grieving the marriage weeks ago when I found those messages. I got up quietly and went for a run. Real exercise helped clear my mind. The spring air was cool and fresh, and by the time I returned home, I felt centered and ready for what was coming. Trevor was making coffee when I walked in. Morning. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Too excited about tonight. That wasn't entirely a lie. Me too. Should be a good party. He poured me a cup of coffee. What time is your hair appointment? 10. Then I'll probably get my nails done too. Sounds good. I have to go into the office for a few hours, make sure everything is set up for tonight. I wondered if he would see Courtney there. If they would steal a few moments together before the party where they would have to pretend to be nothing more than colleagues. The thought made my stomach turn, but I kept my expression neutral. After Trevor left, I texted Julian. Still on for tonight? His response came quickly. Absolutely. I'll pick you up at 6:30. Perfect. I spent the morning getting ready. The salon transformed my usually simple hairstyle into elegant waves that framed my face. My nails were painted a deep burgundy that matched the undertones of my dress. I felt like I was preparing for battle, and in a way I was. Back home, I did my makeup carefully. Nothing too dramatic, but enough to highlight my features. When I finally put on the red dress, I barely recognized myself. I looked powerful, confident. Nothing like the woman who had been folding laundry 3 weeks ago while her world fell apart. At 6:15, I heard Trevor come home. Nadine, you ready? We should leave soon. I took a deep breath and walked out of the bedroom. Trevor was adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror. He turned when he heard my heels on the hardwood floor. His mouth fell open. Wow, you look amazing. Thank you. I grabbed my clutch from the hall table. Actually, there's been a change of plans. What do you mean? I'm not riding with you to the party. His brow furrowed. Why not? Did something happen to the car? No. I just have other arrangements. Other arrangements? What are you talking about? The doorbell rang. Perfect timing. That's my ride, I said and walked past Trevor to open the door. Julian stood there in a sharp navy suit, holding a small bouquet of flowers. He looked good, confident despite the nerves I knew he must be feeling. Hi, he said, handing me the flowers. You look beautiful. Thank you. You look great too. Behind me, Trevor's voice was sharp. Who is this? Nadine, what's going on? I turned to face my husband, still holding Julian's flowers. Trevor, this is Julian Hayes, Courtney's husband. Julian, this is Trevor. Trevor's face went pale. His eyes darted between Julian and me, processing, understanding slowly dawning. What is this? This is us going to your company party together. You and Courtney wanted to keep your affair secret? Well, Julian and I decided we're done keeping your secrets. Affair? I don't know what you're talking about. But his voice shook and his hands trembled as he ran them through his hair. Julian stepped into the doorway. Don't insult our intelligence. We both know what you and Courtney have been doing. We've seen the messages, the hotel receipts, the lies. Trevor looked like he might be sick. Nadine, this is crazy. Can we talk about this? We could have talked about it 6 months ago when you decided to cheat on me. Or 3 months ago. Or last week. But you chose not to. So no, we're not talking now. Julian and I are going to the party. You can come or not. Your choice. I walked out the door, taking Julian's offered arm. Behind us, I heard Trevor calling my name, but I didn't turn around. Julian opened the car door for me and I slid into the passenger seat. As we pulled away, I saw Trevor standing in the doorway, his phone already at his ear. Probably calling Courtney to warn her. Good. Let them panic. How do you feel? Julian asked as he drove. Honestly? Terrified. You. Same. But also kind of liberated. I'm so tired of pretending everything is fine. Me too. We drove in comfortable silence for a while. I watched the city lights blur past, wondering what the next few hours would bring. The party started at 7. We would arrive fashionably late at 7:30, making sure most guests would already be there to witness our entrance. Can I ask you something? Julian said. Of course. Do you think they love each other? Trevor and Courtney? I considered the question. I don't know. Maybe they think they do. Or maybe it's just excitement and novelty. Does it matter? I guess not. Either way, they chose to betray us. Exactly. At 7:25, we pulled into the parking lot of the Riverside Hotel. The building was lit up beautifully, and I could hear music drifting from the ballroom. My heart pounded. Julian turned off the car, but neither of us moved. Last chance to back out, he said. Are you backing out? No. Are you? No. He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. Then let's go make an entrance. We walked through the hotel lobby, my hand tucked into the crook of his arm. A few people were lingering by the entrance to the ballroom, and they turned to look at us as we approached. I recognized one woman as someone Trevor had pointed out in photos before, another colleague from Stellar Tech. Her eyes widened when she saw us together. She whispered something to the man beside her. "Ready?" Julian murmured. "Ready." We stepped into the ballroom together and I immediately scanned the crowd. It took less than 10 seconds to spot Trevor by the buffet table. He was holding a champagne glass and talking to someone, trying to appear normal. But even from across the room I could see the tension in his shoulders. Then his eyes found us. That's when his face went completely white. That's when I saw everything I needed to see in his expression. Guilt, fear, shock, and the sudden realization that his carefully constructed lies were about to crumble. Beside him, Courtney materialized, following his stare. Her glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor. The music continued playing, but more and more people were turning to look at us, sensing drama even if they didn't understand it yet. I smiled at Trevor across the room. Not a big smile. Just enough to let him know this was intentional. This was planned. This was his reckoning. Julian squeezed my arm gently. "You okay?" "Never better," I whispered back. "Let's go get a drink." We walked further into the party, heads held high, while behind us the whispers started spreading like wildfire through the crowd. The week after I discovered Trevor's affair, but before meeting Julian, I had hit my lowest point. I remember sitting in my car in the office parking lot during lunch, unable to stop crying. My phone buzzed with a text from Trevor. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." Working late. The lie was so casual, so easy for him. I called my sister Nicole that afternoon. She was a nurse practitioner with 3 kids and barely any free time, but she made time for me. "Can I come over after work?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Of course." "What's wrong?" "Everything." When I arrived at her house that evening, she took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. Her kids were at their grandmother's house, so we had the place to ourselves. We sat on her couch with tea and I told her everything. "That piece of trash," Nicole said, her voice shaking with anger. "How could he do this to you?" I keep asking myself that. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? "Stop that right now." Nicole grabbed my hands. "This is not about you. This is about him being a selfish coward who couldn't appreciate what he had. You are incredible, Nadine. Smart, beautiful, kind, successful. If he can't see that, it's his loss. Then why does it hurt so much? Because you loved him. Because you built a life together and he threw it away. But you're going to get through this. And you're going to come out stronger." Over the next few days, Nicole checked in constantly. She sent me motivational messages, called during her breaks, and reminded me to eat when I forgot. She was the one who suggested I see a therapist. "Talking to me is great," she said, "but you need professional help processing this trauma. Because that's what it is, Nadine. Trauma." I found Dr. Patterson through my insurance. She was a black woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Our first session was 2 days before I met Julian. "Tell me what brought you here," Dr. Patterson said. I told her about the affair, the lies, the pain of pretending everything was normal while my world fell apart. She listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally. "What do you want to get from our sessions?" she asked when I finished. "I want to stop feeling like this is my fault. I want to stop obsessing over what I could have done differently. And I want to figure out how to move forward, whatever that looks like. Those are all achievable goals. But first, I need you to understand something. Infidelity is a choice. Your husband made a choice to betray your trust. That choice was not influenced by anything you did or didn't do. That choice was about him and his values, not about your worth." Those words stayed with me. Over our next few sessions, Dr. Patterson helped me work through the grief and anger. She validated my pain while also pushing me to think about what I wanted my future to look like. "You're spending a lot of energy gathering evidence and planning this confrontation at the party," she said during one session. "What happens after that?" "I don't know. Divorce, I guess." "You guess." "No, I know. I'm definitely divorcing him. There's no coming back from this." "Good. I want you to be clear about that. Because Trevor will likely try to apologize and manipulate you into giving him another chance. You need to be firm in your decision." "I am firm. I don't want him back. I could never trust him again. Remember that feeling. Remember how clear your head is right now. Because in the moment when he's crying and begging, it might get confusing." I nodded, committing her words to memory. During this time, I also threw myself into work. I volunteered for extra projects, stayed late, and pushed myself to excel. My boss noticed. "Nadine, you've been doing exceptional work lately," she said during a team meeting. "I wanted to let you know that we're creating a senior project manager position, and I'd like you to apply. The promotion would mean more money, more responsibility, and more validation that I was good at something, even if my marriage was failing." I applied that same day. I also started taking better care of myself physically. I went to the gym before work. I meal prepped healthy food. I got regular sleep. It wasn't about losing weight or looking better for anyone. It was about feeling strong and in control of something in my life. One evening, Nicole came over to help me pick out the dress for the party. We went through my closet first, but nothing felt right. "Everything here is too safe," I said, frustrated. "I need something that makes a statement." "Then let's go shopping." My treat. At the mall, Nicole pulled dress after dress for me to try. Most weren't right. Too plain, too formal, too casual. Then I saw the red dress on a mannequin. "That one?" I said, pointing. Nicole grinned. "Oh yes, that's the one." I tried it on and immediately knew it was perfect. The color was bold and vibrant against my brown skin. The cut was elegant but daring. I looked like someone you didn't mess with. "Trevor is going to lose his mind when he sees you in this," Nicole said. "That's the plan." After we bought the dress, we got dinner at our favorite restaurant. Over pasta and wine, Nicole asked the question I had been avoiding. "Are you doing okay?" "Really?" I thought about it. Some days are harder than others. But I'm getting there. Meeting Julian helped, actually. Knowing I'm not alone in this. He seems like a good guy. He is. We're just friends united by mutual betrayal. Nothing romantic. "I wasn't suggesting there was," Nicole said carefully. "But would it be so bad if there was?" "Eventually, I mean. Not now, obviously. I can't even think about that. Right now, I just need to get through the divorce and figure out who I am without Trevor." "Fair enough. But when you're ready, don't close yourself off to the possibility of finding someone who actually deserves you." I changed the subject, uncomfortable with the idea of dating again. But her words stuck with me. During my sessions with Dr. Patterson, we talked about rebuilding my identity separate from my marriage. "You've been Nadine and Trevor for 8 years, she said. "Who is just Nadine?" It was harder to answer than I expected. I had defined myself so much through my relationship. Trevor's wife. Someone's partner. Half of a couple. "I'm a good project manager," I said slowly. "I'm a loyal friend. I'm Nicole's sister. I like reading mysteries and trying new restaurants and traveling when I can afford it. Those are all good things. Keep building on that. What else do you want to explore?" "I've always wanted to learn photography. And maybe take a cooking class, something fun like pastries." "So do those things. Don't wait for permission or for the right time. Start building the life you want now." The night before the party, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining different scenarios of how it would go. What Trevor would say. How Courtney would react. Whether I would have the courage to follow through. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Julian. "Can't sleep. Too nervous about tomorrow." "You." "Same. Keep thinking about backing out." "Don't. We deserve better than what they did to us." "You're right. See you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow. We've got this." I set my phone down and stared at the ceiling. In the next room, Trevor was sleeping peacefully, unaware that tomorrow would change everything. Part of me felt guilty for the ambush. But the bigger part of me remembered all the nights I had cried myself to sleep while he was texting Courtney. All the lies. All the betrayal. I didn't owe him a gentle confrontation. He had made his choices. Now he would face the consequences. The next morning, everything moved quickly. Hair appointment, nails, makeup, the dress. Each step made me feel more powerful, more ready. By the time Julian rang the doorbell, I was no longer nervous. I was determined. And when I saw Trevor's face go pale at the party, when I heard that glass shatter, I knew I had made the right choice. This was just the beginning of my revenge, and it felt good. After our first meeting at the coffee shop, Julian and I met 3 more times to coordinate our plan. Each meeting was at a different location. A park, a quiet restaurant, a bookstore cafe. We were careful not to be seen together by anyone who might know Courtney or Trevor. During our second meeting, Julian brought his laptop. "I've been documenting everything too," he said. "Times Courtney said she was at book club, but I have bank statements showing charges at restaurants across town. Receipts for lingerie I never saw her wear." We spread out our evidence on the table between us, creating a timeline. The affair had clearly been going on for at least 8 months, possibly longer. They met at a company training retreat last year, I said, pointing to the earliest messages I could find. Trevor came home talking about this new team member who was so smart and funny. He said it was nice to have a female perspective on the team. Julian's jaw clenched. Courtney told me she made a new friend at work. Someone she really connected with. I was happy for her. We sat in silence for a moment, both processing how we had been manipulated. So the party, Julian said, changing the subject. Walk me through exactly what you're thinking. I pulled out a notebook where I had been planning. The event starts at 7. I think we should arrive around 7:30 when most people are already there. We walk in together, holding hands or with linked arms. We don't make a scene or announce anything. We just exist together publicly. And when they see us, we stay calm. We're not there to fight or cause drama. We're there to show them that we know and we're not hiding or ashamed. They should be ashamed. Julian nodded slowly. What if they try to talk to us separately? Pull us aside. We don't go. We stay together the whole night. They want to explain or apologize, they can do it right there in front of everyone. You've really thought this through. I've had a lot of sleepless nights to think. Over the next few meetings, we refined the plan. We agreed on what we would wear, how we would arrive, even what we would say if people asked questions. We practiced staying calm and unbothered, even though we both felt anything but. The goal is to maintain dignity, I said. We're not the ones who did anything wrong. We're just done being lied to. Julian agreed. I keep thinking about all the times I asked Courtney if something was wrong, if she was happy. She always said yes. She looked me in the eye and lied. Trevor did the same thing. Just last week he told me he loved me. How do you say that to someone while you're cheating on them? They compartmentalize. They tell themselves it doesn't count or that they'll end it soon or whatever other lies they need to justify their behavior. As we prepared for the party, Julian and I also just talked. About our lives, our jobs, our disappointments. It turned out we had a lot in common. We both loved hiking and had wanted to visit Iceland. We both had complicated relationships with our parents. We both had stayed in our marriages longer than we probably should have because we believed in commitment and working through problems. I thought marriage was about facing challenges together, Julian said during one of our meetings. I didn't realize the challenge would be my wife's inability to stay faithful. I kept thinking if I was a better wife, if I was more interesting or more fun, Trevor would be happy. But that's not how it works. Nothing I did or didn't do caused this. My therapist told me the same thing. You're seeing a therapist too? Started last week. Figured I needed professional help processing this mess. I told him about Dr. Patterson, and we compared notes on our therapy experiences. It was oddly comforting to know we were both taking steps to heal. The week before the party, I had a session with Dr. Patterson where we discussed my plan in detail. How do you think Trevor will react? She asked. Honestly, I think he'll try to make me look crazy. He'll act like I'm overreacting or misinterpreting innocent friendship. That's what people like him do. And if he does that, then I show the evidence. I'm not going to argue or defend myself. The facts speak for themselves. What about after the party? Have you thought about next steps? I'm filing for divorce. I've already consulted with a lawyer. My sister is helping me find an apartment. I'm moving out as soon as possible. Dr. Patterson nodded approvingly. You've done your homework. Just remember, Trevor will likely try every manipulation tactic he knows. He might cry, beg, promise to change, blame you, blame Courtney. He might even threaten you. Stay firm in your boundaries. I will. I'm done with him. What about Julian? What's your plan with him after this? I paused. I don't know. We're friends, I guess. United by trauma. But after the party, we might not need to stay in touch. How do you feel about that? Sad maybe? He's been a good support system. But I also don't want to build a relationship based on shared pain. That doesn't seem healthy. That's very mature of you. But don't close the door entirely. Friendships that form during difficult times can sometimes be the strongest ones. 3 days before the party, I got my hair done. The stylist, a woman named Shanice, noticed my distraction. You okay, honey? You seem somewhere else. I hesitated, then found myself telling her an abbreviated version of the story. She listened while she worked, her hands moving expertly through my hair. Baby, you are handling this exactly right, she said when I finished. Too many women let men make fools of them. You're taking your power back. It doesn't always feel powerful. Sometimes it just feels sad. That's okay too. You can be sad about what you lost and still be strong about moving forward. Those two things can exist together. Her words stayed with me. I was grieving the marriage I thought I had while also celebrating the freedom I was about to claim. The day before the party, Nicole came over after work. I was trying on the dress one more time, making sure everything was perfect. "You look like a movie star," she said from my bed. "I feel like I'm about to jump out of an airplane without checking if the parachute works." "The parachute works. You've checked it 100 times. Now you just have to jump." "What if I mess this up? What if I lose my nerve?" Nicole stood up and put her hands on my shoulders. "Listen to me. You are the strongest person I know. You found out your husband was cheating and you didn't fall apart. You made a plan. You found an ally. You've been going to therapy and taking care of yourself. You're already winning, Nadine. Tomorrow is just the public reveal. When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You just never listened to me before." We both laughed and some of my tension eased. That evening I packed a bag with essentials. After the party I wasn't coming back home. Nicole had prepared her guest room for me. I would stay there while I looked for my own place. I took photos off the walls, packed my favorite books, gathered important documents. Each item I removed felt like cutting another cord connecting me to this life with Trevor. He came home late as usual, probably from seeing Courtney one last time before the party where they would have to pretend to be just colleagues. "Hey," he said, poking his head into the bedroom. "What are you doing?" "Just organizing some things." I gestured vaguely at the closet. "You're still excited about tomorrow, right?" "I really want you there." "I bet you do," I thought. "Want me there playing the devoted wife while your mistress plays the friendly coworker?" "I'll be there," I said. "Wouldn't miss it for anything." He smiled, completely oblivious. "Great. I'm going to shower and head to bed. Big day tomorrow." After he went to sleep, I sat in the living room with a glass of water, looking around at the space we had shared for 5 years. This condo had been our first big purchase together. We had painted the walls, picked out furniture, hosted parties. So many memories lived in these rooms. But they weren't enough to make me stay. My phone buzzed with a text from Julian. "Tomorrow we take our lives back." "Tomorrow we take our lives back," I agreed. I went to bed around midnight, careful not to wake Trevor. I lay there in the dark, listening to him breathe and felt nothing. No love, no anger, no sadness. Just a calm acceptance that this chapter was closing. Tomorrow everything would change. And I was ready. The morning of the party felt surreal. I woke up before my alarm, my body humming with nervous energy. Trevor was still asleep beside me, completely peaceful. For a moment I almost felt bad about what was coming. Almost. Then I remembered the hotel receipts. The messages calling Courtney baby, and my love. The lies about working late and weekend meetings. The feeling disappeared. I got up quietly and went for my run. The streets were mostly empty this early on a Saturday, just me and a few other dedicated joggers. My feet hit the pavement in a steady rhythm and I focused on my breathing, trying to calm my racing thoughts. When I got back, Trevor was making coffee in the kitchen. He looked up and smiled. "Morning. Big day." "Yes it is," I said, meaning something entirely different than he thought. "What time is your hair appointment again?" 10. "Then nails at noon." "Perfect. I have to go into the office for a few hours. Make sure everything is ready for tonight." I wondered if Courtney would be there too. If they would steal one last moment together before their world came crashing down. The thought made my chest tight, but I kept my face neutral. "Sounds good. I'll see you later then." After Trevor left, I texted Julian. "He's going to the office to check on party setup. Probably meeting Courtney." Courtney left an hour ago saying the same thing. They don't even try to be original with their lies. 6:30 still work for you? 6:30 is perfect. I'll bring flowers. You don't have to do that. I want to. We're doing this right. I smiled at my phone, grateful for Julian's steady presence through all of this. At the salon, Shanice worked her magic. She gave me loose waves that fell perfectly around my face, elegant and sophisticated. While she worked, we talked about everything except Trevor. She told me about her daughter's graduation and her plans to visit her mother in Atlanta. The normalcy of the conversation helped settle my nerves. "You're going to walk in there and blow everyone away," Shanice said as she finished. "Including that fool husband of yours." At the nail salon, I chose a deep burgundy polish that complemented the red dress. The manicurist was a quiet woman who worked efficiently, and I appreciated not having to make conversation. I needed the silence to gather my thoughts. By the time I got home, it was 2 in the afternoon. Trevor wasn't back yet. I took a long shower, taking my time with my skincare routine. I did my makeup carefully, enhancing my features without going overboard. Smoky eyes, defined brows, a nude lip that wouldn't smudge. At 5 o'clock, Trevor came home. He was whistling as he walked through the door, clearly in a good mood. I wondered if he and Courtney had managed to meet up without anyone noticing. If they had kissed or made promises about ending their marriages soon. The thought should have hurt more than it did. "Nadine? I'm back," he called out. "In the bedroom," I replied. I heard him walk through the house, probably checking his appearance in the hallway mirror. His footsteps approached the bedroom. "So, I was thinking we could leave around 6:15, he said, still out of sight. "That way we're not too early but we're there for the welcome speech and everything." I stepped out of the bedroom in my red dress. Trevor froze mid-sentence. His eyes went wide as he took me in from head to toe. "Wow, you look amazing." "Thank you," I said, my voice even. "That dress is incredible. I've never seen you wear something so bold. Thought I'd try something new." He was still staring at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Admiration mixed with something else. Guilt, maybe, though he would never admit it. "So, 6:15, he prompted again. This was it. The moment I had been building toward for 3 weeks. "Actually, there's been a change of plans," I said calmly. His brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I'm not riding with you to the party." Confusion crossed his face. "Why not? Is the car okay?" "The car is fine. I just have other arrangements." "Other arrangements? What are you talking about, Nadine?" The doorbell rang, perfectly timed. Julian and I had coordinated this down to the minute. "That's my ride," I said and walked past Trevor toward the front door. "Your ride? Who's at the door?" His voice had an edge to it now, suspicion creeping in. I opened the door. Julian stood there in a navy suit that fit him perfectly. He looked confident and calm, though I knew he must be as nervous as I was. In his hands were a small bouquet of bright red flowers that matched my dress. "Hi," he said, his voice steady. "You look beautiful." "Thank you. You look great too," I said, accepting the flowers. Behind me, I heard Trevor's footsteps approaching. "Who is this? Nadine, what's going on?" I turned to face my husband, still holding Julian's flowers. This was the moment. The point of no return. "Trevor, this is Julian Hayes. Courtney's husband." "Julian, this is Trevor." The color drained from Trevor's face so fast I almost worried he might faint. His mouth opened but no sound came out. His eyes darted between Julian and me, and I watched as understanding slowly dawned. "What is this?" he finally managed to say. "This is us going to your company party together," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "You and Courtney wanted to keep your affair secret? Well, Julian and I decided we're done keeping your secrets." "Affair?" Trevor's voice cracked. "I don't know what you're talking about." But he did. His hands were shaking. His face had gone from pale to red. He looked panicked, caught, guilty. Julian stepped into the doorway, his presence solid beside me. "Don't insult our intelligence, Trevor. We both know what you and Courtney have been doing. We've seen the messages, the hotel receipts, the lies." "This is insane," Trevor said, but there was no conviction in his voice. "Nadine, can we please talk about this? Alone." "We could have talked about it 6 months ago when you decided to start cheating on me," I said. "Or 3 months ago. Or last week. But you chose not to. You chose to lie to my face every single day. So no, Trevor, we're not talking now. Julian and I are going to the party. You can come or stay here. That's your choice." I turned back to Julian and took his offered arm. His presence gave me strength, reminded me that I wasn't alone in this. "Nadine, wait," Trevor called out, his voice desperate now. "You can't do this. You can't just embarrass me in front of my entire company." I paused in the doorway and looked back at him. "I'm not the one who should be embarrassed. You did this, Trevor. You destroyed our marriage. You lied and cheated and made me look like a fool. So yes, I can do this. Watch me." We walked out to Julian's car. I could hear Trevor calling my name from the doorway, but I didn't turn around. Julian opened the passenger door for me and I slid in, my heart pounding but my head clear. As we pulled away from the house, I saw Trevor standing in the doorway with his phone pressed to his ear. Calling Courtney, no doubt. Warning her that their secret was out. That we were coming. "How do you feel?" Julian asked as he drove. "Terrified," I admitted. "But also kind of free." "You?" "Same. I keep waiting for the guilt to kick in, but it's not coming. They did this to themselves." We drove through the city as the sun started to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The hotel was on the riverfront, a beautiful old building that had been renovated into a luxury venue. As we got closer, I could see it lit up, elegant and impressive. Julian pulled into the parking lot at exactly 7:25. We sat in the car for a moment, neither of us moving. Last chance, he said quietly. We can still turn around. Do you want to turn around? No. Do you? No. He smiled and some of the tension left his face. Then let's go give them a show they won't forget. We got out of the car and I took his arm again. My heels clicked on the pavement as we walked toward the entrance. A few people were lingering outside, smoking or talking. They glanced at us with mild curiosity. Inside the hotel lobby, we could hear music coming from the ballroom. My stomach flipped. This was really happening. Ready? Julian murmured. Ready. We walked through the lobby and approached the entrance to the ballroom. Two colleagues I vaguely recognized from Trevor's work photos were standing there talking. They turned to look at us. I saw recognition flash across the woman's face. She knew who I was. She also clearly knew who Julian was because her eyes widened. She whispered something to the man beside her. Julian and I stepped through the entrance into the ballroom. The space was decorated beautifully with blue and silver, Stellar Tex Company colors. Round tables filled the room and a dance floor occupied the center. A buffet table ran along one wall, and a bar was set up in the corner. The room was full of people talking, laughing, drinking. Music played from speakers, something upbeat and jazzy. It looked like a normal party. Then I saw him. Trevor was standing by the buffet table, holding a champagne glass. He was talking to someone, probably trying to appear normal, but even from across the room I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes kept scanning the entrance. His gaze found us and his entire body went rigid. The champagne glass in his hand tilted dangerously. Beside him, Courtney appeared. She was wearing a black dress that I recognized from the photos on her social media. She was pretty with long dark hair and delicate features. She followed Trevor's stare to where Julian and I stood. Her face went white. Her mouth fell open in a perfect circle of shock. The glass she was holding slipped from her fingers. The sound of shattering glass cut through the music and conversation. Heads turned. People looked at Courtney, then followed her line of sight to us. More whispers started. People nudged each other, pointing discreetly. The energy in the room shifted from celebratory to curious to tense. I smiled at Trevor. Not a big smile. Just enough to let him know this was intentional. This was planned. This was their reckoning. Julian squeezed my arm gently. You okay? Never better, I whispered back. Let's go get a drink. We walked further into the party, heads held high. People parted slightly to let us through, their eyes following our every move. I could feel dozens of gazes on us, hear the whispers growing louder. At the bar, Julian ordered us both drinks. The bartender looked between us and the growing commotion behind us but said nothing. Here's to the truth, Julian said, raising his glass. To the truth, I echoed, touching my glass to his. We turned to face the room, leaning against the bar casually, as if we attended parties together all the time. As if our spouses weren't currently standing across the room looking like they wanted the floor to swallow them whole. Trevor started moving toward us through the crowd. Courtney grabbed his arm, trying to stop him, but he shook her off. His face was red now, a mix of embarrassment and anger. Here he comes, Julian murmured. Let him come, I said. We have nothing to hide. Trevor stopped a few feet away from us, close enough to talk but far enough that most people couldn't hear. What do you think you're doing? He hissed. Having a drink at your company party, I said calmly. Just like you invited me to do. With him? Are you serious right now? Why wouldn't I come with Julian? His wife works here too. It made sense for us to come together. People were definitely watching now. Phones were probably out, recording. This would be office gossip for months. You're making a scene, Trevor said through gritted teeth. I'm just standing here, Trevor. You're the one making a scene. Courtney appeared beside Trevor, her eyes darting nervously between Julian and me. Up close I could see how young she looked. Mid-20s, probably at least 10 years younger than Trevor and me. Julian, she said, her voice shaking. Can we talk? Privately? No, Julian said simply. I think we're past private conversations. You had months to talk to me privately. You chose not to. This isn't what it looks like, Courtney tried. Really? Julian pulled out his phone. Because I have messages that say otherwise. I have hotel receipts. I have a timeline of every lie you told me about book club and work events. So please, Courtney, tell me what it looks like, because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been having an affair with a married man. People nearby had stopped even pretending not to listen. A small crowd was forming around us. Trevor looked around wildly. Can we please take this somewhere private? This is my workplace. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you slept with your coworker, I said. My voice was still calm, but I could feel the anger underneath, burning steady and bright. We didn't. Trevor's voice trailed off. He couldn't even finish the lie. A man in a suit who I recognized as Trevor's boss approached our group. Is everything all right here? Everything is fine, Trevor said quickly. Actually, it's not, I said, turning to face the man. I'm Nadine, Trevor's wife. This is Julian, Courtney's husband. We're just here to support our spouses at this lovely party and get to know their colleagues better. I hope that's okay. The boss looked between all of us, clearly sensing the tension but unsure what to do about it. Of course, everyone is welcome. I hope you enjoy the evening. As he walked away, Trevor grabbed my arm. Nadine, please, can we just go outside and talk for 5 minutes? I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at his face. Let go of me. He did, immediately. We're not talking, Trevor. We're done talking. I'm going to stay here, enjoy the party, and let everyone see exactly who you really are. You and Courtney wanted to have your affair? Fine. But you don't get to keep it secret anymore. You don't get to have me at home playing the devoted wife while she's here playing the innocent colleague. Those days are over. I turned back to Julian. Want to get some food? That buffet looks good. Sure, he said, playing along. I'm starving. We walked away from Trevor and Courtney, leaving them standing there with the eyes of the entire party on them. And that's when I knew we had won. Not because we had embarrassed them, though we had, but because we had taken back our power. We were no longer the victims being lied to. We were people who knew the truth and refused to hide it. The rest of the party passed in a blur of whispered conversations, supportive glances from people who understood what had happened, and cold stares from those who thought we had gone too far. Trevor and Courtney left early, separately, both of them humiliated. Julian and I stayed until the end, dancing once just to prove we could, laughing genuinely at some of the absurdity of the situation, and making plans to file for divorce first thing Monday morning. When we finally left around 11, I felt lighter than I had in months. The weight of Trevor's lies, of pretending everything was fine, of carrying his secret, was gone. Thank you, I said to Julian as he drove me to Nicole's house. Thank you, he said back. I couldn't have done this alone. Me neither. We sat in his car outside Nicole's house for a few minutes, neither of us wanting the night to end, even though we were exhausted. What happens now? Julian asked. Now we divorce them. We move on. We build better lives. Together? I looked at him, considering. As friends? I think we make good friends. He smiled. Good friend sounds perfect. I got out of the car and walked to Nicole's door, turning once to wave goodbye. Julian waved back and I went inside to start my new life. The ballroom felt different after Trevor and Courtney's faces went pale. The music kept playing, people kept talking, but there was an undercurrent now. Everyone sensed something dramatic was unfolding. Julian and I stood at the bar, sipping our drinks and projecting calm confidence we didn't entirely feel. My heart was racing, but I kept my face neutral, pleasant even. They're talking, Julian murmured, nodding toward where Trevor and Courtney had regrouped near the far wall. They were having an intense whispered conversation, both of them looking panicked. Let them talk. We're not the ones who need to explain ourselves. A woman approached us, someone I recognized from photos as one of Trevor's team members. She was in her 40s with short hair and kind eyes. Hi, I'm Rachel. I work with Trevor and Courtney. She extended her hand and I shook it. I just wanted to say I think you both are handling this with incredible grace. Thank you, I said, surprised by her directness. I've suspected something was going on between them for a while now, Rachel continued, lowering her voice. The way they looked at each other, the private conversations. I'm sorry you both had to find out this way. Actually, we found out weeks ago, Julian said. This is us dealing with it on our terms. Rachel nodded approvingly. Good for you. They should be ashamed, not you. She walked away and several other people approached with similar sentiments. It became clear that while Trevor and Courtney thought they were being discreet, plenty of colleagues had noticed something off about their relationship. After about 20 minutes, Trevor approached again. Courtney stayed back this time, looking miserable against the wall. Nadine, I need to talk to you. Now. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. I'm in the middle of a conversation, I said, gesturing to Julian. I don't care. You're my wife. We need to talk privately. I was your wife when you decided to sleep with Courtney. But you didn't feel the need to talk to me then. Trevor's face went redder. You're being ridiculous. You're embarrassing yourself. No, Trevor. I'm embarrassing you. There's a difference. A small crowd had gathered again, watching our exchange. Trevor seemed to realize this and changed tactics. His face softened, his voice became pleading. Baby, please. I know you're hurt and you have every right to be. But can we please not do this here? Let's go home and talk about everything. I'll explain. I'll make this right. There's nothing to explain. You had an affair. You lied to me for months. You betrayed our marriage. Those are facts, not misunderstandings. It's not what you think. Courtney and I were just friends. You're misinterpreting some texts. I pulled out my phone. Should I read some of these texts aloud? Let everyone decide if they're misinterpretations. Trevor's eyes widened in panic. Don't? Why not? If they're innocent, what's the problem? He grabbed for my phone, but I stepped back. Julian moved between us immediately. Don't touch her, Julian said, his voice hard. Stay out of this, Trevor snapped. This is between me and my wife. Your wife who you cheated on with my wife. I'm very much in this. Trevor looked around wildly. His boss was watching from across the room. Colleagues were staring. Phones were definitely out now, probably recording. Fine, Trevor said, his voice shaking. Fine. You want the truth? Yes, Courtney and I got close. Yes, we crossed some lines. But it wasn't some big affair. It was a mistake. A stupid mistake that I regret. How many times did you make this mistake? I asked. Once. Twice. Or was it every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 8 months? He couldn't answer. That's what I thought. I turned to Julian. Ready to get some food? But Julian was staring past me at Courtney. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. She looked young and scared and guilty. Did you ever love me? Julian asked her across the room. Or was I just convenient while you waited for something better? Courtney's face crumpled. Julian, I do love you. I never meant for this to happen. You never meant to get caught, he corrected. That's different. Trevor's boss approached again, looking uncomfortable. Trevor, maybe you and Courtney should take the rest of the night off. This seems like a personal matter that shouldn't be happening at a company event. Sir, I can explain, Trevor started. I don't need explanations. I need this situation handled professionally. Take the night off. We'll discuss this Monday. Trevor's face went pale. The threat was clear. This wasn't just about his personal life anymore. His job might be in jeopardy. This is your fault, Trevor hissed at me. You couldn't just handle this privately like an adult. I tried handling it privately for 3 weeks while I cried myself to sleep. While I pretended not to know you were texting her at dinner. While I played the loving wife for someone who didn't deserve it. So no, Trevor. I'm done handling your mess privately. You made this public by having an affair with a coworker. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth. Courtney approached slowly, her arms wrapped around herself. Julian, can we please go somewhere and talk? I need to explain. Explain what? How you made a fool of me. How you looked me in the eye every morning and lied about where you were going, who you were with. Save your explanations, Courtney. I don't want to hear them. I made a mistake, she said, her voice breaking. People make mistakes. Mistakes are one-time things, I said, speaking to her directly for the first time. Typos are mistakes. Forgetting an anniversary is a mistake. What you did was a choice. Multiple choices, made over and over again for months. Don't diminish it by calling it a mistake. Courtney looked at me with something like fear in her eyes. She opened her mouth but nothing came out. Trevor grabbed her arm. Come on. We're leaving. Don't touch her, Julian said again. She's leaving with me, Trevor said. We need to figure out how to handle this mess you two created. The mess we created? I almost laughed. You really have convinced yourself you're the victim here. Trevor didn't respond. He guided Courtney toward the exit, both of them walking quickly, heads down. People stepped back to let them pass, whispers following in their wake. After they left, the energy in the room shifted. People approached Julian and me with sympathy, with understanding, with admiration for how we had handled ourselves. Rachel found us again. I'm going to make sure HR knows what happened here. Courtney and Trevor's relationship created a hostile work environment. This isn't going to just blow over. Thank you, I said. But I don't want either of them to lose their jobs over this. That's kind of you. But what they did was unprofessional regardless of the personal betrayal. The company has policies about workplace relationships for a reason. Julian and I stayed at the party for another hour. We ate from the buffet, talked to friendly colleagues, even danced once when someone requested an upbeat song. We wanted to prove we weren't running away, weren't ashamed, weren't defeated. Around 10 o'clock we decided to leave. We had made our point. We had confronted our cheating spouses publicly and with dignity. Now it was time to start the next chapter. In the car we were both quiet for a while. That was intense, Julian finally said. That was necessary. Do you think they'll try to salvage things between them? Trevor and Courtney? I thought about it. Maybe. But it won't last. Affairs that start in secret rarely survive in the light of day. Once all the sneaking and excitement is gone, they'll realize they don't actually have much in common. I hope you're right. I don't want Courtney to get a happy ending while I'm left picking up the pieces. She won't be happy. Neither will Trevor. Relationships built on betrayal don't have solid foundations. Julian pulled up to Nicole's house. Lights were on inside and I could see her silhouette moving past the window. Thank you for tonight, I said. For standing with me through all of that. Thank you. I couldn't have done it alone. We sat there for a moment, the weight of the evening settling over us. What happens Monday? Julian asked. I call a divorce lawyer. I start looking for apartments. I begin the process of untangling my life from Trevor's. Same. Courtney and I don't have kids, thank God. Should make the divorce simpler. Trevor and I talked about kids. I'm so glad we waited. I can't imagine bringing children into this mess. We said goodnight and I walked to Nicole's door. She opened it before I could knock, pulling me into a hug. I've been watching for you. Tell me everything. Inside, over tea, I recounted the entire evening. Nicole listened, gasping at the right moments, cheering at others. You were perfect, she said when I finished. Absolutely perfect. Trevor is probably at home right now having a breakdown. Good. Let him break down. I've been breaking down for 3 weeks. It's his turn. My phone buzzed. I looked at the screen and my stomach dropped. 15 missed calls from Trevor. 20 text messages. All of them variations of "we need to talk," and "please come home," and "I can explain everything." I showed Nicole the phone. Are you going to respond? Eventually. But not tonight. Tonight, I'm going to sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks, knowing I don't have to pretend anymore. I silenced my phone and went to the guest room Nicole had prepared. The bed was made with fresh sheets and there were flowers on the nightstand. My sister had even put out a new toothbrush and some pajamas she thought I might like. I changed, washed my face and climbed into bed. My phone kept lighting up with new messages from Trevor, but I ignored them all. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Lawyers, divorce papers, finding a new place to live. But tonight I had one. I had faced Trevor and Courtney with courage and dignity. I had shown them that betraying me had consequences. And for the first time since discovering the affair, I felt like I could breathe. Sunday morning arrived with a gray sky and steady rain. I woke up in Nicole's guest room, disoriented for a moment before everything came rushing back. The party. Trevor's pale face. Courtney's shattered glass. The whispers and stares. I reached for my phone. 30 more messages from Trevor overnight. I scrolled through them, watching his tone shift from pleading to angry to desperate. Nadine, please answer me. You humiliated me in front of my entire company. I know I messed up, but this is cruel. Are you really going to throw away 8 years over one mistake? I love you. Please come home. I set the phone down without responding. Nicole knocked softly on the door. You awake? Yeah. Come in. She entered with a mug of coffee. How do you feel? Tired? Relieved? Angry? All at once. That's normal. You want breakfast? We sat in her kitchen eating scrambled eggs while rain pattered against the windows. Nicole's kids were with their father for the weekend, so the house was quiet. Have you heard from Julian? She asked. I checked my messages. He had sent one text an hour ago. Hope you're doing okay. Call if you need to talk. He checked in. I'll message him later. My phone rang. Trevor again. I declined the call. You're going to have to talk to him eventually, Nicole said gently. I know. But not today. Today I need to process everything. The doorbell rang around 11. Nicole and I exchanged glances. She got up to check the peephole. It's Trevor, she whispered. My stomach clenched. Don't let him in. Nicole opened the door a crack, keeping the chain lock on. Trevor. Nadine doesn't want to see you right now. Nicole, please. I just need 5 minutes. I need to talk to my wife. She's not your wife anymore. Not in any way that matters. Please. His voice cracked. I made a mistake. I need to make this right. You can't make this right, I called from the kitchen. Go home, Trevor. Nadine. I heard him try to push past the door, but the chain held. Please, baby. I love you. We can fix this. I walked to the door, staying back but visible. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, rumpled clothes, hair sticking up. He'd clearly been up all night. There's nothing to fix, I said. You destroyed our marriage. That can't be repaired. It was just a few months. It didn't mean anything. She doesn't mean anything. That makes it worse, Trevor. You risked everything we built for something meaningless. I was confused. I made bad choices. But I choose you. I choose our marriage. You should have chosen me 8 months ago. You should have chosen me every time you met her at that hotel. Every time you lied about working late. Every time you looked me in the eye and pretended everything was fine. But you didn't. You chose yourself and your own selfish desires. So now I'm choosing me. What does that mean? It means I'm filing for divorce. It means I'm done. We're done. Trevor's face crumpled. You don't mean that. You're just hurt and angry. Give it some time and we can work through this. I'm not working through anything with you. I want you to leave me alone. Don't call, don't text, don't show up here. My lawyer will be in contact tomorrow. Nadine, please. Nicole stepped forward. She asked you to leave. Don't make me call the police. Trevor stared at me for a long moment, desperation clear in his eyes. When I didn't waver, he finally stepped back. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. I closed the door and locked it. My hands were shaking. Nicole pulled me into a hug while I tried to catch my breath. You did good, she said. That was hard, but you stood your ground. The rest of Sunday passed quietly. I called Julian in the afternoon to check in. How are you holding up? I asked. Honestly, not great. Courtney has been blowing up my phone. She wants to meet and talk. Her sister called me too, saying I should give Courtney a chance to explain. Are you going to? I don't know. Part of me wants closure. Wants to understand why she did it. But another part thinks there's no explanation that would make any difference. Do what feels right for you. But remember, talking to her might just give her an opportunity to manipulate you into feeling guilty or taking her back. That's what I'm worried about. What about you? Have you heard from Trevor? I told him about Trevor showing up at Nicole's house. He's desperate, Julian said. They both are. Losing control of the narrative, facing consequences. It's not what they expected. They thought they could have their affair and their marriages. They wanted everything. Well, now they have nothing. Courtney's sister told me that Courtney is staying at her place. Can't face living in our condo alone. Good. Let her feel uncomfortable. Let her face what she did. We talked for another hour, sharing stories and supporting each other. It was strange how close Julian and I had become through this shared trauma. He understood in a way no one else could. Monday morning arrived with clear skies. I took the day off work and made appointments with 2 divorce lawyers for consultations. The first one was at 10. Attorney Rebecca Morrison had excellent reviews and specialized in complex divorces. Her office was modern and professional, and she greeted me with a firm handshake. Tell me about your situation, she said once we were seated. I explained everything. The discovery of the affair, the evidence I had gathered, the confrontation at the party. She took notes and nodded. Do you and Trevor have shared assets? She asked. We co-own the condo. We have joint bank accounts, though I opened a separate one last week and transferred half of our savings. We both have retirement accounts and some investments. Children? No, thank God. That simplifies things. Given the evidence of infidelity, we can pursue a fault-based divorce in this state. It would likely result in a more favorable settlement for you. I don't want to drag this out. I just want it to be over. Understandable. We can aim for a quick settlement. With clear evidence and no children, it shouldn't take more than a few months if Trevor is cooperative. And if he's not? Then we fight. But based on what you've told me, he'll likely want this resolved quietly to minimize damage to his professional reputation. I hired Rebecca on the spot. She drew up initial paperwork and promised to have divorce documents filed by the end of the week. My phone rang as I left her office. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Nadine? This is Courtney. I stopped walking. How did you get this number? From Trevor. Please don't hang up. I need to talk to you. I have nothing to say to you. Just listen, please. I know I hurt you. I know what we did was wrong. But I need you to understand that I never meant for any of this to happen. You never meant to get caught. There's a difference. I never meant to fall for Trevor. I tried to stop it. I told him we needed to end things multiple times. But he kept pursuing me. I laughed bitterly. So now you're blaming him? After you both spent months lying and sneaking around? I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just trying to explain. There's nothing to explain, Courtney. You had an affair with my husband. That's all I need to know. It wasn't just physical. We connected. We understood each other. He said you two had grown apart, that you didn't care about his interests anymore. Rage flooded through me. He said that? That I didn't care about his interests? I supported every hobby he ever had. I attended every work function. I put his career before my own multiple times. But sure, blame me for his choice to cheat. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it wasn't as simple as you think. It's exactly as simple as I think. You and Trevor betrayed your spouses. You lied and sneaked and chose your own selfish desires over the people who trusted you. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked her number immediately. That evening, Nicole made dinner while I looked at apartment listings online. I needed to find my own place, start fresh somewhere that didn't have memories of Trevor. What about this one? I showed Nicole a listing for a one-bedroom with lots of natural light and a small balcony. It's nice. When can you see it? Tomorrow afternoon. I have 3 showings scheduled. My phone buzzed. A message from Julian. Courtney called you too? Yes, you. She left me a voicemail. Haven't listened to it yet. Don't know if I want to. She tried to explain the affair. Made it sound like Trevor pursued her and she was helpless to resist. Wow. So she's rewriting history now. Apparently. They'll probably try to blame each other to save face. Let them. We know the truth. Tuesday brought more complications. I arrived at work to find everyone staring at me. Someone had clearly spread the story of what happened at the party. By lunch, 3 different colleagues had stopped by my office to ask if I was okay. I heard about Trevor, my coworker Stephanie said. I'm so sorry. Men are trash. Thanks. I'm handling it. If you need anything, let me know. My sister went through a divorce last year. I can connect you with resources. The attention was uncomfortable but also oddly supportive. People seemed to respect how I had handled the situation. My boss called me into her office at the end of the day. Nadine, I wanted to check in with you personally. I heard about what happened this weekend. I'm sorry if it's affecting my work. I'm trying to keep it separate. Your work has been exceptional as always. I'm more concerned about you as a person. Divorce is difficult. If you need time off or want to adjust your schedule, we can accommodate that. Thank you. I might need a few days here and there for meetings with lawyers and apartment hunting. Take whatever you need. And Nadine? For what it's worth, I think you handled a terrible situation with impressive dignity. Wednesday, I viewed 3 apartments. The second one felt right immediately. It was in a quiet neighborhood with good restaurants nearby. The building had a small gym and the apartment got morning sunlight. I applied on the spot. Thursday, I received a text from an unknown number. This is Rachel from Stellar Tech. I wanted you to know that HR is investigating the situation with Trevor and Courtney. They're likely to face disciplinary action for violating company policy on workplace relationships. I thought you should know. I thanked her for the information. Part of me felt bad that their jobs might be affected. But a bigger part remembered all the nights I cried myself to sleep while they were together. Friday afternoon, Rebecca called. Divorce papers have been filed and served to Trevor. He has 30 days to respond. How did he react? According to the process server, not well. But that's normal. The reality is setting in for him. That evening, Nicole and I celebrated with wine and Chinese food. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. To new beginnings, I echoed. My phone buzzed. A long email from Trevor. I read it while Nicole cleaned up dinner. It was full of apologies, explanations, promises to change, memories of good times we'd shared. He painted a picture of a marriage that could be saved if I would just give him another chance. I deleted it without responding. The truth was, I didn't want to save the marriage. I didn't want the Trevor who cheated on me. I didn't even want the Trevor from before the affair, because that version had contained the seeds of betrayal all along. I wanted to move forward. To build a life that was mine, not ours. To rediscover who Nadine was when she wasn't defined by being someone's wife. And for the first time in months, that future felt possible. 3 months after the party, I stood in my new apartment hanging the last picture on the wall. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows, painting everything in shades of gold. My space. My home. My fresh start. The divorce proceedings were moving forward smoothly. Trevor had tried to contest it at first, but his lawyer apparently convinced him that fighting would only drag things out and cost more money. We were dividing assets fairly, splitting the equity from the condo sale and going our separate ways. I hadn't seen him in person since that Sunday when he showed up at Nicole's house. All communication went through our lawyers now, which was exactly how I wanted it. My phone rang. Julian. We talked at least once a week now, checking in and supporting each other through the divorce process. "Hey," I answered. "How's it going?" "Good. I signed the final papers yesterday. It's official. I'm divorced." "How do you feel?" "Lighter. Sad about what I lost, but relieved it's over." "How about you? When's your court date?" 2 more weeks. Then I'll be officially single again. We should celebrate when it's final. Both of us starting fresh." "I'd like that." We talked for a while about our weeks. Julian had started dating someone new, a woman he met at a hiking group. I was genuinely happy for him. "What about you?" he asked. "Anyone interesting in your life?" "Not romantically. I'm focusing on myself right now. But I did join a photography class like I always wanted to. And I've been traveling on weekends, just short trips to nearby cities." "That sounds good. You deserve to do things that make you happy." After we hung up, I got ready for work. The promotion had come through last month. I was now a senior project manager with a significant raise and more responsibility. My boss said my work during the divorce had been impressive, showing resilience and professionalism. At the office, Stephanie stopped by with coffee. We had become closer friends over the past few months. "Still on for dinner tonight?" she asked. "Absolutely. That new Italian place." "Perfect. My treat since you helped me with that project deadline." Work had become more than just a job. It was a place where I felt competent and valued. Where I was Nadine the professional, not Nadine the wronged wife. During lunch I checked my email. One from my lawyer with an update on the settlement. One from my sister with photos of her kids. And one from an address I didn't recognize. I opened it cautiously. "Dear Nadine, this is Courtney. I know you blocked my number, but I found your work email. I'm not reaching out to make excuses or ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that Julian and I are both divorced now, and Trevor and I are not together. We tried, briefly, after everything came out. But you were right. Relationships built on lies don't last. I'm writing to tell you that I'm sorry. Truly sorry for the pain I caused you. I was selfish and thoughtless, and I hurt people who didn't deserve it. I've been in therapy working on understanding why I made such terrible choices. I don't expect you to respond or forgive me. I just needed you to know that I acknowledge what I did and I'm trying to be better. I hope you're doing well. Courtney." I read it twice, then closed the email. I didn't delete it, but I didn't respond either. Maybe someday I would have something to say to her. But not today. Today, I didn't want to give her or that situation any more of my energy. That evening, Stephanie and I had a great dinner. We laughed about office drama, talked about her dating disasters, and made plans to take a weekend trip together next month. "You seem really good," she said as we walked back to our cars. "Like, genuinely happy." "I am. It's strange. 3 months ago I thought my life was falling apart. But it wasn't falling apart. It was falling into place. I love that perspective." At home, I changed into comfortable clothes and made tea. My apartment was small, but it was mine. Every piece of furniture I had chosen. Every decoration reflected my taste, not a compromise between Trevor's preferences and mine. I opened my laptop to work on organizing photos from my photography class. The teacher said I had a good eye for composition. Next month, we were doing a show at a local gallery where students could display their work. I was nervous but excited. My doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the peephole and my stomach dropped. Trevor stood in the hallway looking uncertain. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to see you. To talk to you face to face. We have lawyers for that. I'm not here about the divorce. I'm here about us. About what we had. We don't have anything anymore, Trevor. We have 8 years together. Memories. History. That has to count for something." I leaned against the doorframe, studying him. He looked thinner, older. There was something broken in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Why are you really here?" I asked. "Because I miss you. Because I made the biggest mistake of my life and I want to fix it." "You can't fix it. Some things, once broken, can't be repaired. People stay together after affairs all the time. They work through it. They rebuild trust. Those people want to rebuild. I don't want to rebuild with you. I want to build something new with someone who actually respects me." "I do respect you. You slept with another woman for 8 months while coming home to me every night. That's the opposite of respect." He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "I was stupid. I was selfish. I know that now. But doesn't our history mean anything? Don't I get a chance to prove I can change?" "You already had your chance. You had 8 years to be faithful and you blew it. I'm not giving you another opportunity to hurt me. So that's it? You're just done?" You're not even willing to try? I tried for 3 months after I found out about the affair. I tried while gathering evidence. I tried while planning the party confrontation. I tried while sleeping in the same bed as you, knowing you were texting her. I tried, Trevor. Now I'm done trying. His face fell. I don't know how to let you go. That's your problem, not mine. You should have thought about that before you cheated. Courtney and I aren't together, you know? We tried but it didn't work. It was all lies and guilt and neither of us could trust the other. We ended things last month. I know. She emailed me. She did? What did she say? It doesn't matter. What you two do or don't do isn't my concern anymore. I've moved on. To someone else? His voice had an edge now. To myself. I'm focused on building a life that makes me happy. And that life doesn't include you. Trevor stared at me for a long moment. Then his shoulders slumped in defeat. I guess I deserve this. Yes, you do. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me. And sorry doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't erase the nights I cried myself to sleep. It doesn't fix the trust you destroyed. Sorry is just a word that makes you feel better about yourself. He nodded slowly. I should go. Yes, you should. And Trevor? Don't come back here. Don't contact me outside of legal matters. Let me move on in peace. Okay. Goodbye, Nadine. Goodbye. I closed the door and locked it. I waited to feel sad or conflicted or tempted. But I felt nothing except relief that the conversation was over. My phone buzzed. Nicole. How's your evening going? Trevor just showed up at my apartment. What? Are you okay? Do you need me to come over? I'm fine. I told him to leave and he did. But I'm glad it happened. Why? Because I needed to see him one more time to confirm I made the right choice. And I did. I felt nothing when I looked at him except gratitude that I got away. I'm so proud of you, little sister. We talked for a while longer, then I settled onto my couch with a book. My life was quiet now. Simple. But it was mine and that made it beautiful. The next 2 weeks passed quickly. Work stayed busy. I attended my photography class and started preparing pieces for the gallery show. I had coffee with Julian and his new girlfriend, who seemed lovely. I went to dinner with Nicole and her kids. The morning of my final divorce hearing, I dressed carefully. Not to impress anyone, but because I wanted to feel powerful for this moment. I wore a maroon dress that made me feel confident and professional. At the courthouse, I met Rebecca in the hallway. Trevor was already there with his lawyer, standing apart from us. We didn't acknowledge each other. The hearing itself was quick. The judge reviewed our settlement agreement, asked if we both agreed to the terms and signed the papers. Just like that, my 8-year marriage was legally over. Walking out of the courthouse as a divorced woman felt surreal. The sun was shining and people were going about their normal days, oblivious to the fact that my life had just officially changed. Rebecca shook my hand. Congratulations. You're free now. Thank you for everything. Good luck with your fresh start. I drove to Nicole's house. She had taken the afternoon off to be there for me. When I arrived, she had champagne and lunch ready. To the newly divorced Nadine, she said, pouring glasses. May your future be brighter than your past. To new beginnings, I said, clinking my glass against hers. That evening, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset. Single. Free. Hopeful. 3 months ago, I had been terrified of this moment. Now I welcomed it. My phone buzzed. Julian. I heard your divorce was finalized today. Congratulations. Thanks. It feels good to have it done. Want to grab dinner this weekend? My treat. We'll celebrate both our divorces properly. That sounds perfect. I set my phone down and breathed in the evening air. Somewhere, Trevor was probably struggling with his new reality. Courtney was probably still in therapy trying to figure out why she made such destructive choices. But I was here in my beautiful apartment, living my own life on my own terms. The affair had hurt me deeply. The divorce had been difficult. But I had survived. More than that, I had grown. I wasn't the same woman who had been folding laundry when she discovered those texts. That woman had been dependent on Trevor for her happiness, had defined herself through her marriage, had lost herself in being someone's wife. This woman was different. Stronger. Clearer about what she wanted and what she wouldn't accept. Ready to face whatever came next with courage and determination. The sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned shades of pink and purple. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities. But tonight I was exactly where I needed to be. Alone but not lonely. Single but not broken. Free to become whoever I wanted to be next. 6 months after my divorce was finalized, I stood in front of a mirror in my bedroom adjusting a deep blue dress. Tonight was the gallery opening where my photographs would be displayed. My hands shook slightly as I applied lipstick. "You're going to be amazing," Nicole said from where she sat on my bed. She had come over early to help me get ready and provide moral support. "What if no one likes my work? Then they have no taste. Your photos are beautiful, Nadine. You have real talent." The past 6 months had been transformative. After the divorce, I threw myself into discovering who I was as an individual. The photography class had evolved into a passion I couldn't get enough of. I took pictures constantly, capturing moments that spoke to me. My teacher, a professional photographer named Robert, had encouraged me to submit my work to the student gallery show. I had picked 5 of my favorite shots: a sunrise over the river, an elderly couple holding hands on a park bench, my sister's kids laughing at a playground, a series of city lights reflected in rain puddles, and a self-portrait I had taken in my apartment bathed in morning sunlight. That last one had been the hardest to include. It showed me raw and honest, without makeup, my natural hair loose around my shoulders, looking directly at the camera with an expression of quiet strength. Robert said it was the most powerful piece I had created. "Ready?" Nicole asked. "Ready?" I said, grabbing my purse. The gallery was in the Arts District downtown, a small space that showcased emerging artists. When we arrived, people were already inside admiring the various photography displays. I spotted Robert across the room and he waved me over. "Your pieces look fantastic," he said. "I hung them in the back corner with good lighting. Come see." He led me through the gallery to where my 5 photographs were displayed on the white wall. They looked so professional, so real. My name was on a small placard beneath them, Nadine Parker. "They're perfect," Nicole breathed beside me. Other students and gallery visitors started filtering over to my section. I watched nervously as people studied my work, reading the descriptions I had written for each piece. An older woman stopped in front of my self-portrait for a long time. Then she turned to me. "Are you the artist?" "Yes," I said. "This is stunning. The vulnerability and strength in your expression, it tells such a story. What inspired it?" I thought about how to answer. It was taken 6 months after my divorce. I wanted to capture who I was becoming, someone comfortable in her own skin despite everything she'd been through. The woman smiled. "You succeeded. I'd like to purchase it if it's for sale." My mouth fell open. "Really? Really? It would be perfect in my home office. A reminder that we can survive difficult things and come out stronger." Robert handled the sale details while I stood there in shock. Someone wanted to buy my art. My actual art. More people approached throughout the evening, asking questions about my work, complimenting my eye for composition and emotion. 2 more photographs sold. By the end of the night, I had only 2 pieces left unsold and a list of people interested in seeing more of my work. "You're a star," Nicole said as we left the gallery around 10. "I'm so proud of you. I can't believe that actually happened. People bought my photographs. Because you're talented. When are you going to accept that?" I laughed, feeling lighter than air. "Maybe tonight. Tonight I might actually believe it." We went for late-night coffee at a place nearby. Sitting across from my sister, I felt overwhelming gratitude for her support through everything. The discovery of Trevor's affair, the confrontation at the party, the divorce, the rebuilding. She had been there for every moment. "Thank you," I said suddenly. "For what?" "For being you. For letting me stay with you when I needed it. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. For celebrating my wins and holding me through my losses. I couldn't have done any of this without you." Nicole reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "That's what sisters are for. And honestly, I'm proud of how you handled everything. A lot of people would have fallen apart. You thrived." The next morning, I woke up to messages from several people who had attended the gallery opening. One was from Julian. "Saw photos from your show on social media. Your work is incredible. Congratulations." "Thank you. How are things with you?" "Really good actually. Amanda and I are getting serious. Thinking about moving in together." "That's wonderful. I'm happy for you. What about you? Anyone special?" "Not yet. But I'm open to it now, which is progress." And it was true. 4 months after the divorce, I couldn't imagine trusting someone again. The thought of dating made my stomach turn. But lately I had started to feel different. Ready to open that door again when the right person appeared. Monday at work, my boss called me into her office. I went nervously, wondering if something was wrong. "Nadine, have a seat. I wanted to discuss an opportunity with you." "Okay," I said cautiously. We're opening a new branch in Seattle and we need someone to lead the project management team there. It's a big promotion, significant raise, and a chance to really shape the direction of that office. I immediately thought of you. Seattle. A new city. A complete fresh start. When would it start? I asked. 3 months. That would give you time to wrap up current projects and prepare for the move. I know it's a big ask relocating across the country, but I think you're the perfect person for this role. I thought about my life here. My apartment that I loved. My photography class. My sister and her kids. But I also thought about what it would mean to start completely fresh somewhere new. To build a life in a city with no memories of Trevor or the affair or any of the pain. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course. Take a week. But Nadine, this is the kind of opportunity that could really launch your career to the next level. I left her office in a daze. Seattle. It seemed impossible and exciting and terrifying all at once. That evening, I met Stephanie for dinner. I told her about the offer. Oh my God, Seattle? That's amazing. Are you going to take it? I don't know. Part of me wants to. But part of me feels like I just got settled here. Can I be honest with you? Stephanie set down her fork. You've been rebuilding here for 6 months. You've done incredible work on yourself. But this city still has ghosts for you. Trevor still works here. Courtney still lives here. Every restaurant or street has memories. Seattle would be a blank slate. Her words resonated. She was right. I had healed a lot, but I was still in the same place where everything had happened. Plus, Stephanie continued, think about the adventure. New city, new job, new possibilities. When else are you going to have this kind of chance? That night, I called Nicole and told her about the offer. Wow. Seattle. I know. It's far. It is. But Nadine, maybe that's what you need. Complete distance from everything that happened here. I'd miss you so much. I'd miss you too. But we'd visit each other. And honestly, I think this could be really good for you. A fresh start in every sense. Over the next week, I thought constantly about the decision. I made a list of pros and cons. I researched Seattle neighborhoods and photography communities there. I imagined what my life might look like in a new place. On Friday, I went to Dr. Patterson for what would be my last session. We had been meeting less frequently as I healed, and I had decided I was ready to manage on my own. I got a job offer in Seattle, I told her. How do you feel about it? Excited, scared, conflicted about leaving my sister and my life here. But tempted by the opportunity? Very. Dr. Patterson smiled. I think you already know what you want to do. You're just looking for permission to do it. Maybe. Is it running away though? To leave the city because of bad memories? Running away implies you're avoiding dealing with something. But you've dealt with everything. You've processed the betrayal, gotten divorced, rebuilt your life and identity. Moving to Seattle wouldn't be running away. It would be running toward new opportunities. Her words clicked something into place. She was right. I had done the work. I had healed. Now I was ready for the next chapter. Monday morning, I walked into my boss's office. I'll take the Seattle position. She grinned. Excellent. Welcome to the next phase of your career. The next 3 months passed in a blur of preparation. I gave notice on my apartment, sold furniture I didn't need, packed up my belongings. I spent as much time as possible with Nicole and her kids. I also reconnected with some old friends I had lost touch with during my marriage. It was interesting to see how relationships had shifted over the years. Some friendships picked up like no time had passed. Others felt strained and we let them go naturally. Julian and I met for dinner 2 weeks before I left. Seattle suits you, he said. I can picture you thriving there. I hope so. I'm nervous but excited. You should be excited. This is a huge opportunity. And who knows, maybe you'll meet someone amazing there. Maybe. But if I don't, that's okay too. I'm happy on my own now. That's the best place to be when you meet someone. When you're complete as you are and they're a bonus, not a necessity. We talked about how far we had both come. From that initial meeting at the coffee shop where we were both devastated and angry, to now where we were both moving forward in healthy ways. I'm glad we went through this together, Julian said. Even though the circumstances sucked, I gained a good friend from it. Me too. Thank you for standing with me that night at the party. I couldn't have done it without you. We saved each other in a lot of ways. The night before I left for Seattle, Nicole threw me a small going-away party. Stephanie came, some colleagues from work, a few friends. We laughed and told stories and toasted to new adventures. After everyone left, Nicole and I sat on my empty apartment floor surrounded by boxes. I can't believe you're really leaving, she said. Me neither. It still doesn't feel real. Promise you'll call me constantly? Every day if you want. And you'll visit for holidays? Absolutely. And you'll come visit me in Seattle? Try to stop me. The kids are already planning what they want to see there. We hugged for a long time, both of us crying a little. You're going to do amazing things, Nicole said. I can feel it. Moving day arrived with clear skies and cool temperatures. I loaded the last of my boxes into the moving truck, took one final look at the apartment that had been my sanctuary during healing, and drove away. The drive to Seattle took 2 days. I stopped at small towns along the way, taking photographs and exploring. Each mile felt like shedding another layer of the past. When I finally arrived in Seattle, rain was falling softly. My new apartment was in a neighborhood called Capitol Hill, known for its art scene and diverse community. The building was older but charming, with high ceilings and large windows. I spent the first week settling in, exploring my new neighborhood, finding favorite coffee shops and restaurants. The city felt different from home, but in a good way. Fresh, full of possibilities. My new job started on a Monday. The team was welcoming and excited to have me leading them. The office was modern with views of Puget Sound. I dove into the work with energy and enthusiasm. 3 weeks after arriving, I joined a new photography group. We met every Saturday morning to do photo walks around the city. It was through this group that I met someone who would become important to my new life. His name was Cameron, and he was a graphic designer who had moved to Seattle from California 6 months earlier. He had dark brown eyes, an easy smile, and a passion for art that matched mine. We started talking after a photo walk, comparing shots we had taken of the Pike Place Market. He asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I hesitated for only a moment before saying yes. Over coffee, we talked about our work, our love of photography, our experiences moving to a new city alone. It felt natural and easy in a way that made me realize I was finally ready for this. I'm divorced, I told him, wanting to be upfront. Pretty recently. About 9 months ago. I'm sorry. That must have been difficult. It was. But it also led me here to Seattle, to this new life. So in a way, I'm grateful for it. He smiled. I like that perspective. Taking something painful and finding growth in it. We exchanged numbers, and over the next few weeks, we texted regularly. He invited me to an art show. I invited him to a photography exhibit I was participating in. We went on walks, tried new restaurants, talked for hours about everything and nothing. I wasn't rushing into anything. I was taking my time, being cautious, learning to trust again slowly. But for the first time since Trevor, I felt excited about someone. Hopeful about the possibility of connection. One evening, 3 months after moving to Seattle, I sat on my apartment balcony with a glass of wine, watching the sun set over the city. My phone buzzed with a text from Cameron asking if I wanted to go hiking that weekend. I smiled and replied yes. Then I got a text from Nicole with photos of her kids at a soccer game. And one from Julian asking how I was settling into Seattle. And one from my boss congratulating me on a successful project completion. I looked around at my new apartment, filled with my photographs on the walls, books I loved on the shelves, furniture I had chosen. I thought about my job that challenged and fulfilled me. My new friends and community. The possibility of something real with Cameron if we continued down this path. This was my life now. Built by me for me. No longer defined by Trevor's betrayal or the pain of the past. I was Nadine Parker, photographer, senior project manager, sister, friend, and someone with a bright future ahead. The affair had almost destroyed me. The divorce had been one of the hardest things I had ever gone through. But I had survived. More than that, I had thrived. I raised my glass to the Seattle skyline, toasting to myself and the journey that had brought me here. To new beginnings, I said aloud. And to never settling for less than I deserve again. Somewhere back in my old city, Trevor was living with the consequences of his choices. I didn't wish him ill, but I didn't think about him much anymore either. He was part of my past, a chapter that had closed. This was my present and my future. And it was beautiful.